Hello again. In my previous movie I was talking about a strange phenomenon which was recorded couple times by Dark Sky Watcher 74. Some of you didn't believe in credibility of those recordings, what didn't surprise me too much, as even I wasn't completely sure if I'm not making a mistake. That's why I spent some time looking for some kind of proof that this anomaly was a real thing and not a lens artifact or a hoax. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to find a camera which recorded a nice view of the sun on this day, December 23rd. To be honest, this one was first which I saw after a longer search. And guess what? Anomaly can be seen as well on this recording from Mexico. You need to look closely, as the phenomenon isn't such clear as on movies made by DSW. Just to compare, this recording was made 3 days later. Let's look if anything similar can be seen on this recording as well. I don't know if you noticed something on those pictures, but I didn't. I will show you another recording from the same webcam. Those pictures were made on December 15th. During this day, just and on 23rd, there were no clouds on the sky, so we can compare those images to each other. As you can see, there were no signs of those solar discharges during 15 December. But notice another thing. On the image from 2312, sun appears to be bigger than on 1512. But don't worry, our star is not getting larger. This apparent difference is in my opinion caused by space weather activity during December 23. Geomagnetic disturbances caused increase of energy inflow. Part of it was turned into photons, what caused the sun to appear brighter than normal. But not everything is so obvious in the case of this anomaly. Those 3 frames from Dark Sky Watcher 74 video made a lot of discussion, as the anomaly can be clearly seen despite the DSW hand which covers big part of the sky. This can mean only one thing. Whatever we can see on the recording, it was visible only on the camera and not in the space beyond. So, if you thought that we're seeing here giant interplanetary lightnings, I will have to disappoint you. But does it mean that this phenomenon has nothing to do with electric discharges? I think that it doesn't. But before I will move further, I will show you alternative explanation presented by D5UNCR. According to him, all those anomalies were caused by a hair or a piece of wire which was placed in front of camera. As a proof, he shows this image, which, as he says, shows exactly the same phenomenon. Of course, it's up to you to say if this is what we're seeing on DSW video. Maybe it is. I don't know so much about magic as he does. However, my explanation is more difficult. First of all, I think that this phenomenon is caused by increased values of solar radiation. During the day, when disturbances were recorded, the amount of energetic particles in the near-Earth environment was seriously increased. There can be more factors as well, like the compression of magnetosphere, which pushed energetic particles closer to our planet. This could allow some of those protons to pass through our defenses and enter the atmosphere. On this image you can see how streams of particles react with strong magnetic field of our planet. Streams break into smaller flux tubes which start to move in different directions than before. Just like on those images where particles enter the CCD sensor in the camera at an angle. But because particles come from our star, their stream won't be blocked until the SW hand won't cover the sun. That's my explanation. But if you think, just like D5UNCR, that my explanation is magical and not scientific, you can choose his story. Okay, time to deal with some serious issues. During 30th December, our current rings went through 3 serious discharges. Just as before, we can track those discharges on SWMF magnetosphere monitors. New ones don't work again at this moment. There was an impact of density spike, which for sure is worth to mention as well. All those outflows of plasma affected mostly the density of atomic oxygen in the ionosphere, what shows nicely that my last doomsday scenario is quite possible. Look how the amount of particles drops during the time when outflows were taking place. Density of atomic oxygen was decreased seriously. But notice something else. Most of particles move to the night side while they should stay on the day side. I was talking about this disturbance recently, and it seems that it can be connected directly with the outflows of plasma from magnetosphere. Now I would like to show you how forces which are responsible for plasma outflows and backside reconnections affect directly our environment. First, I will show you how the increased solar activity from 21st to 23rd December affected the temperature in Europe. Generally, temperature over entire continent was visibly increased because of the energy which was delivered from the sun. But look here. At the time of CME impact on December 22, temperature in Turkey started visibly to drop and air became much colder than in countries placed further north. I think that it is a clear sign of magnetic connection with a negative field line, which is responsible for outflow of positively charged particles. Shortly, it is the area where Octopus, low energy field, put his magnetic tentacle and started to eat protons from the surface. But at this time it was just a very small reconnection, and the tentacle was just an introduction for the events which took place during the magnetospheric plasma outflows. Because of discharged current rings, our defenses became much weaker and the connection with low energy field started to gain strength. Small warning: when you will start to see the magnetic tentacle, it can turn out to be quite disturbing for some of you. This time things got pretty serious. We can even see the opposite flows of particles within the connection. Of course, my model predicted it long ago. Day later, the tentacle started to become thinner. If you want to know the reason of such behavior, you should check once more the current ring monitor. My model predicted as well the correlation between equatorial connections and disturbances of our atmosphere. As you can see, the flux tube was clearly squeezed by incoming particles. Anyway, this site gives me a perfect opportunity to learn some additional properties of low energy field and its field lines. Let's see if there are some particles which are being affected by the reconnections and plasma outflows. First, nitrogen dioxide. It seems that there are some visible outflows of particles which are being replenished mostly because of human activities. Okay, let's check another component of atmosphere: ozone. And this time a good information. Low energy field doesn't seem to be interested in O3. And now something what seems to be the favorite meal for the electromagnetic octopus: particulate matter, mixture of couple solid components and aerosols which are dangerous to our health. Those particles seem to be affected by the magnetic forces much stronger than other chemical components. Last animation shows the relative air humidity. Field lines are visible here as nice as on the previous monitor. Besides, there seems to be a clear correlation between particulate matter and air humidity. But before I will move further, I want to come back to nitrogen dioxide. This time, instead pre-generated animation, I will show you pictures of 1 hour analysis. There are 2 different events which seem to take place on daily basis. First event takes place every day and is probably connected with the daily geomagnetic jolts. We can see nicely how it affects the natural field lines of geomagnetic field, which are crossing through the planet in many different areas. Second event is much more spectacular, but the frequency of its occurrence can vary on different days. However, we can see it mostly around 12 UTC. My first thought was that it is just some kind of pixel damage in the satellite camera, as the patterns look rather artificial than natural. But there is one small problem. Disturbance is clearly affecting the nitrogen dioxide concentration, and the effects can be seen on couple next frames. Notice that this anomaly is decreasing the density as well as injecting additional particles in the atmosphere. I didn't talk in my movies too much about human ingerence on the environment, but this can be an ultimate proof of geoengineering. I need to mention as well that the shape and size of anomaly is not constant and changes every day. Okay, it's the time to begin another subject of this movie. Progressing depolarization of planet Earth. Since the last time when I was using VisBart, OMNI database was updated. Currently, December 22 is the last day for which solar wind readings are available. However, only the first CME impact on December 21st can be seen here completely. Besides the solar wind, I've loaded as well actual readings from Themis and Geotail satellites. Here we can see Themis A, D and E satellites. Short arrows represent directions of plasma flow and their color shows the temperature of ions. Long arrows show the strength and orientation of local magnetic field. Notice that the Zyganenko magnetosphere simulation is quite reliable, and modeled field lines fit nicely to the satellite's recordings. But let's move further. Soon after 3 UTC on December 21st, satellites recorded a rapid change of magnetic orientation. Field lines started suddenly to point out of the magnetosphere. Possible cause can be seen on the magnetopause position monitor, where around the same time we can see that the backside connection was cut out. Notice as well that around this time the tilt of magnetic dipole reached its maximum angle and the magnetosphere deformation became stronger than before. Progress of deformation was recorded as well by the satellites. Arrows, which show the orientation of geomagnetic field, became horizontal, not vertical as they should be. Once more, magnetosphere simulation managed to explain weird satellite readings. But it is not a good sign for us, as it means a 90-degree flip of Earth's magnetic orientation. Sadly, soon after vectors describing magnetic field disappeared, as the data from Themis satellites was censored. Good that the plasma parameters remained visible and we can see how the temperature of ions drops when craft move through the western part of magnetosphere. And again, the most possible cause can be seen on SWMF plus RCM magnetosphere cuts. Where a negative field line started to cause outflow of particles. Couple hours later, magnetic vectors became visible again, and they confirmed the connection of negatively polarized field line. I could spend next hour to speak about those readings, but because I don't have so much time, I will move straight to the evening of December 22, where we can see clear magnetic disturbances soon before satellites entered near-Earth space. But the readings which freaked me out were recorded by Themis E-craft during its close approach to our planet. Since I've started to watch Themis data on Wisbard, I've never seen anything like this. Orientation of geomagnetic field was never so disturbed as it is visible here. I can only hope that it was caused by space weather activity and that it became normal after the conditions started to calm down.
For the end, I will show you recent changes of air currents in our atmosphere. As you can see, there is no equatorial circulation over the Atlantic anymore. You can forget as well about the jet stream. Right now there are 3 opposite currents over northern hemisphere, which are moving at an angle to the natural orientation of our planet. It seems that the year 2015 will be a very interesting one. And with this positive accent, I will finish this movie. Happy New Year, everyone! Class dismissed. Be safe. Peace.